What's up, wild ones? So let's talk about failure. Failure, this idea that we have to not only be so perfect in everything that we do, that we never mess it up, but also this idea that when we do mess up, we then internalize and encode this failure as if it is our identity, right? So not only do we fear even just like allowing ourselves to mess up, but then if we do inevitably mess up, because we're human, so it's going to happen, once we do mess up, we then take that on as if it is a part of who we are, that we ourselves have become a failure. Now, you might be saying, well, yeah, it's probably not a big deal, but it is. Imagine that there is a space within you that is just collecting all of your beliefs and all of the negativity and positivity and ideas of what each of those is, the good versus the bad, the shame, the guilt, the joy, the ecstasy, everything is just collecting it. And if we begin to have this idea that we are a failure, and then every time we mess up, we reinforce this idea that messing up means that we ourselves are a failure. We're just building up this pile of a new identity that says that you can't succeed, so why even bother? And then we find ourselves avoiding stepping into the wild. We avoid stepping into our own freedom because we're so afraid that we can't do it. We're going to fail at it because we are failures, because we have this entire thing built up within our bodies that we are failures, that we don't even try for our own freedom. This is like being in shackles your whole life, and then you suddenly realize, like, whoa, there are no more shackles on me, except you still stay there. You continuously sit there in your own cage, the cage of your own making, because you are now afraid to step foot outside of that cage. You are now afraid to shake off the shackles because you have the key, you always have. But when we fear failure so much, we limit our freedom because we are so attached to our identities, right? Doesn't matter whether you think this is a positive or negative identity. The real question is, does it serve? Does it serve? Does this identity allow you to step into who you want to be? Does it take you closer towards that space of embodied wild freedom, or does it move you further away from what you want? Yeah? That's way, way closer than positive or negative, right? Does it serve? Does it get you closer? Does it pull you further away? Does it connect you or disconnect you from your desires and from your truth? And when we're in that space, it is like when we over-identify, we're so attached to them, we're afraid to actually put on to put on our true identity, to take off the shackles, to take off the mask, that we continuously seek out experiences that reinforce the old identity that's not serving. Okay? So if you have an identity of failure, then you avoid experiences of freedom. Because if you allowed yourself to fully create, allowed yourself to fully love, allowed yourself to fully be a part of life, you would have to look at your identity. You'd have to look at who you're being, and we don't like doing that. We're humans. We're like, you know what? I think I'm good like right here. I think we're just gonna avoid everything else, and we're just gonna keep on the track, and I think we're good. And so this requires you to actually look at who you've been, who you're being, and if it's in alignment with who you say you are and who you want to be. Okay? So I want you to look at these identities that you've taken on and look at how failure is fitting into that. Rick Pitino said, failure is fertilizer. Okay? So if you allow your failure, like this is re-encoding the idea of failure in your body, in your mind, in your experience with failure, because we're in co-creation all the time. So if you can shift into a space of co-creation with failure and say, okay, all right, so that sucked, didn't work out, what's next, right? It's like an immediate shift into, great, what's next? And if you can say, like, before you get on stage, if you're like, okay, all right, what if I suck? What if I fail? What if I just like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be like the most horrific experience ever. Like, yeah, what if I mess this up so bad? Well, I'm gonna mess this up so hard. Oh, I'm gonna mess this up like nobody's messed this up before. Like, just shift your experience with it. You're like, is that what I even want? Maybe not. Okay, so what do I want? But you give yourself the joy. You shift your experience out of, oh God, what if I fail? What if I suck? What if they think this? It takes you out of the good girl mentality, the princessing, into goddessing. This is how you step in. If you're a dude, it's that warrior kingship, right? Women, is that goddess, right? So you got to step in. And if you take your experience with failure and you completely shift it into if you shift it into the space of co-creation, watch what happens. So remember, it's fertilizer. It's going to lay the groundwork. You just get to choose what it's laying the groundwork for. It's laying the groundwork for that old identity where you identify as a failure and why even try, or you kind of half-ass, or you go in and then you pull back and you never go all the way into what you want. You can fertilize that and keep going with that, or you can fertilize stepping into this embodied light leader, this creator, this visionary, this mystic rebel goddess or warrior who knows who you are and is ready to do the work you're here to do, live the life you are here to live, and make that impact that your soul is begging you to make. So choose your fertilizer, one or the other. Right? Okay, so that's it. If this resonates, of course, as always, make sure you hit that little subscribe button, turn on the bell so you get notifications of when a new video drops, and tell me in the comments, what are you fertilizing? Like, are you fertilizing the identity of failure, or are you fertilizing what you want to step into? Which one have you been doing, and how are you committed to shifting even more into your desires? That's it. I love you guys so much. As always, thank you for being here. Here's to your untaming. Go be wild. Go shake off those shackles and step into who you came here to be. I love you guys. Peace out.